to the Clemson Dubcast, Friday, August 27th. Man, it's been a busy 3 weeks at TigerIllustrated.com. Lots of new subscribers, lots of great content. We are shifting back to the normal routine with the start of the season. Game week is almost upon us, and man, is it exciting given the magnitude of this monster top 5 matchup between the Tigers and the Dogs in Charlotte. My good friends Blake Smith and Brooke Archenhold have been part of the podcast since the beginning, way back in August of 2018. They have an accomplished team of personal injury attorneys at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold based in Greenville. They are Clemson people, and their skillful attorneys have decades of experience in complicated litigation matters, taking a special interest in medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, and neglect, car accident cases that have left the individuals involved in serious trouble. For a free consultation at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold, call 864-990-4581 or online at parhamlaw.com. That's PARHAM law.com.
Football season is grilling season, and Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio is South Carolina's premier source for the big three: Weber, Traeger, and Big Green Egg Grills. Blackstone Griddles, too. I'm Jack Oliver. Grill all your tailgate favorites to perfection with a premium gas, charcoal, or pellet grill, then top it all off with something sizzling from your Blackstone Griddle. For grills, griddles, patio furniture, hot tubs, and saunas, shop in store or online at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive in Columbia, and jackoliverpools.com.
Solero Communications, formerly known as Tandem Payment, is a full-service integrated electronic payments provider powered by leading-edge technology. Solero provides a wide array of merchant solutions, simplified payments. They make onboarding, taking payments, maintaining risk management and compliance, and getting support quick and easy. At Solero, they're all about helping you achieve sustainable growth as a business. Taking payments isn't the only thing your business needs. With Solero's solutions, you can manage inventory, sell products and services via social media, schedule staff, track sales, get reports, and much, much more. Find out more about Solero at solerocommerce.com. That's CELERO commerce.com. Okay, a great recent addition to the Clemson area has been Kite Hill Brewing Company, first brewery in Clemson. Went over there to talk to their co-owners today, along with their head brewer, Mike Fuller, who happens to be a TI subscriber. A lot of fun learning about sort of the background, how they got started. A really interesting story, how it all came together. All right, here we go. Enjoy. Okay, joined by Mike Fuller to talk about something near and dear to the hearts, or to my heart, and to the heart of a lot of listeners, a lot of people in Tiger Illustrated. Beer. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks, Larry. Great to be on, man.
So, well, you're a Tiger Illustrated subscriber.
Yes, sir.
As well, long time, and I think that's one of the connections that we made. Kite Hill Brewing Company. We were actually on the premises. Y'all have done a fantastic job so far, and
appreciate it.
And you're the head brewer. Is that the official title?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I came on March of this year. So yeah, we opened up July 4th, and It's been a lot of work, but we're getting into gear and getting ready and prep for the busy season. So, yeah, it's been exciting.
What's your story? I know you were, based on my recollection, you went to school at Clemson.
So I actually went to Tri-County.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Rock Hill. Wasn't a huge Clemson fan until, I think it was 98. My buddy and his dad brought me up for a Carolina game in 98, and we won that year. And
that's the last. That's the Brad Scott, Tommy West farewell.
Yeah, I think Woody Danzler was in there at that time. It was an awesome experience. Like, I was 10 years old. We got to run down on the field and, get gloves from the players, the whole deal there. And, loved it. And didn't come back until probably 2001, Florida State. And that was, like, such an amazing game. I was a true fan after that one. But, my brother went here. He's 6 years older than me, and he came to Clemson, and I was like, man, I got to be up there. And, I went to Tri-County, like sitting in a classroom was kind of my hell back then. So yeah, I just got a business degree, and all I really wanted to do was move out west. And that's what I did after getting my business degree at Tri-County. And that's where I really fell in love with the craft beer scene. It wasn't really, kicking around here at that point. And got out there, and it was just, everywhere. And like the quality was just so much more than I was used to, drinking, natty lights on game days, a little different experience. But yeah, getting out there and just, kind of just experiencing the community behind craft beer was super cool. And just, again, like the quality and, finally having like some respect for alcohol and, not just what it is, but, what goes behind it, the hard work. And started homebrewing out there and just really loved the science behind it. And then I guess around 2014, Asheville started a 2-year associate's degree in fermentation science. So moved back home. My brother was having kids. My parents were pushing me to come back, and always wanted to live in Asheville. And that was kind of a perfect, segue into getting back east. And went through that program. Did my internship at Oscar Blues in Brevard, which was a super cool experience. And after I graduated the program, moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, and kind of cut my teeth at New Anthem Beer Project. They were just opening. I was their first production hire, and that was an amazing experience. If anybody's ever had, their beers, they specialize in IPAs, but they're some of the best IPAs in the country. Learned a lot there. And then was there for about a year and was just like kind of itching to get back to Asheville. I loved it up there. I was, big whitewater kayaker, fly fisherman. So that was kind of my home. So got called back to Asheville. Worked a little bit in the industry, and I was a fly fishing guide for about a year and a half. And just, this new brewery, Dissolver, opened up, and they just had an awesome plan, an awesome marketing scheme. They were making great beer, and I really wanted to get back into the industry, and they hired me as a brewer, and we opened up right before COVID, December of 2019. And started working with them, and then COVID hit. And we're, a pretty large scale brewery in the middle of Asheville. Going into COVID was tough. But we went from, I think, 20 employees to down to 7 or 8.
Wow.
So 2020 was a tough year because we did not stop. But we got through it. We basically had to can everything we had in production for the tap room, and continue canning throughout the year just to get product, to the market, which is super cool. The the community there like fully supported local business, which was awesome. So we were doing to go sales out of house, and we were able to get through it. And they were crushing it. I loved working there. I actually took over the sour production side, which is super cool and new for me. And it was, I guess, December of 2020, I actually got COVID. Super mild case, luckily. And I was just in quarantine, and I got on this site called Brew. It's basically a forum for, the industry, and they do job classifieds and all that. And I was like, I wonder what the job market's doing, and got on their job listing page, and the first ad was head brewer in Clemson. So it was pretty serendipitous how that happened. I'd always wanted to open a brewery here in Clemson and bring something back to Clemson, especially because there hasn't been one. And I did my my senior thesis project in brewing school was actually on the Astro. That was kind of my dream, was to, bring that place back to life and, bring something new to Clemson. And, for one reason or the other, that didn't, work out. And, that dream kind of died there, but until I found Brian and Bobby, and they had the green light to do this thing, I was, that kind of fire was sparked again. So it's been awesome so far.
Some things I want to unpack. Like, I have only a very basic knowledge of the industry, and you're talking about having to revert to canning as the primary revenue stream when COVID hits.
Yeah.
I've heard sort of anecdotal accounts of how things have evolved with brewing. At one point it was about largely about canning and distributing the product that way, but then I guess the big dogs kind of took over that to a large degree, and now it's more about actually having people come to your premises and drink.
Such an like, I got in, fairly late. I guess, this whole craft beer thing kind of started, mid 2000s, 2005, 6 is when they really started picking up. And by the time I was in school, Asheville had, I think, 25 breweries.
Wow.
Yeah. And now they have like 55 in the county.
Jeez.
And 40 in the city. So yeah, it's just kind of blown up, but yeah, you're right. Like, back in the day, the big guys kind of ruled the market, and, growth is inevitable in this industry, especially if you're doing well. And to do that, you have to go into distribution, especially at that time. And just getting, more of a hold on a larger market, is kind of, what kept those guys alive. But, now, we've got 9,000 plus breweries in the U.S. So, everybody can't operate on that scale. So yeah, tap room is, your margins are way better. It's actually what, we strive to do here, is have more of a communal space instead of just, mass production and, getting our market out there or getting our brand out there. It's more about keeping it in house. We're 100% sales out of house. And that's, for this foreseeable future, that's where we're sitting and want to be.
So actually distributing in retail is something like maybe a next phase that y'all consider?
It is. And it's really not tempting, because South Carolina distribution laws are pretty tough.
How so?
You just have to go through the 3-tier system. So you can't self-distribute in South Carolina, which, can wreck your margins if you're on a smaller scale. So until that happens, I just see us selling out of house and, serving the Clemson community. So
you couldn't theoretically, if y'all have some product, you can't go to Ingalls and say, hey, work out a deal with them.
We have to go through a distributor. Yep. So it's North Carolina. We at Dissolver, we were able to have 2 sales guys, and they would go around the city and East Coast, and they could go to account and start one, and we could sell to them directly. But in South Carolina, you have to go through a distributor, and at our size, it's just not to pay a distributor to sell our product is not really feasible for us.
Not to demonize distributors, but is it basically like the Walmart and the Amazon on a smaller scale?
Yeah. They kind of control the market and, what you sell and what you make. And, they're making money too. And they provide a service for the right people. We're just, we're not on that model yet. So, but maybe one day, it would be cool. We'll have to completely build a new production facility, but because we're full up right now. So, but yeah, possibly one day we'll get out there. But Clemson's taking care of us for now.
It's funny you mentioned drinking natural light at tailgates earlier. I'm actually perhaps one of the rare people who I love the hoppy beers for the most part, but then when I'm out on the lake or something, a Coors Light is freaking
it's
absolutely
amazing.
refreshing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to tell on myself here, but I mean, it's probably 60% of the beer I drink is either PBR or High Life. So, yeah, I mean, you can't just be pounding 7%, IPAs on the beach all day.
But it tastes good too.
Yeah, it's and that's kind of the thing with craft beer. It's like it's more of like an appreciation and appreciating the quality of the beer rather than just a beverage. If you're into cooking or anything like that, you obviously you want to eat good food. So that's kind of the same idea with craft beer, I think. So
it's interesting talking about sort of a taste appreciation. Obviously, you can any average person, a novice, can tell an IPA apart from a Pilsner.
Yeah.
But back decades ago, before the hops revolution, I guess early 2000s probably it was. You're getting together with friends and you're drinking largely domestic, like you say, Natural Light, Coors Light, Bud Light. Forget what else there was back then, but
I mean, even like Newcastle was the closest that was craft exotic beer thing. Yeah, it was crazy.
Back then.
Yeah,
but we would have you'd have arguments. Why are you drinking that Bud Light? That stuff sucks. And I'm like, I don't think there's much of a difference between the Coors Light and Bud Light. And so we would have taste tests as parties, where we would have 5 domestic beers lined up, and everybody would just fail spectacularly. So it's pretty much the same stuff with the domestic light.
Yeah,
beers.
I mean they're all domestic, light American lagers. It's they're. I'm not going to bash on the micro guys, but it's a different process on that scale for sure, and it's it's a cheaper product because it has to be. We're kind of lucky that we have the resources to get weird with things and focus on quality, and But yeah, I'll throw back some High Life any day.
So what did you learn once you started getting into the science of it in terms of the taste and educating yourself on that you might not have known or been acquainted with before that, and you just knew that you really like craft beer?
Yeah, I mean that was a huge thing with the brewing program. I mean, we had a semester course of just sensory, which I pretty much thought all of the program was going to be just drinking beer in class, but it was not the case. I got my syllabus for my first semester, and organic and biochem were on there, and I was like, oh, what did I sign up for?
What's that like?
It was awesome because it was actually applied to fermentation, and it was like the world of fermentation is absolutely insane. I'm not even close to an expert on that side of things, but just learning the concepts and what's going on, and how complicated beer is was super cool. But yeah, let me
interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Specifically, can you put it into layman's terms, what was so sort of, I guess, a revelation and as complicated? Talking about the fermentation process, just trying to
so ferment it's a kind of a process from you start with malted barley, and barley has starches that are converted into fermentable sugars in the mash. And that enzymatic process is, we could talk all day about that. And, then you're adding hops that have, tons of different molecules and compounds of their own that incorporate different flavors and aromas and bitterness. And then you get on the fermentation side of things, and that's really where beer is made. Brewers, we make wort, which is basically a sugary grain tea. And then we add yeast, and yeast converts those sugars into alcohol and other flavor compounds, and that's, as they say, where the magic happens, and where beer's made. And that whole process was just amazing to see that this living organism, and really to go back thousands of years, and they were doing this a long time ago, and to see how that process came about somehow is just amazing. somebody left some bread outside and it rained, and there's yeast all around us, and if you leave any kind of sugar source outside, it will ferment. And then somebody had the bright idea to drink it. So yeah, it was just, it was mind blowing, and it's still like, I'm still learning all the time. I don't know anybody, whether they're the best brewer I know or, it's a constant learning experience. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
So what's something right now, even at this advanced stage, an example of something that you're still learning, or a recent contemporary?
A lot. So this, just like getting on this new system has been a lot. So I've worked on 4 different systems, and as far as the brew house goes, which you have your mash tun, your boil kettle, your 2 liquor tanks, and your fermentation tanks. And man, like everyone is different. The way they operate, like the efficiencies you have to find with certain systems, differ from, one to the other. And so that's been big, kind of like getting the system dialed in, and like, kind of trusting what we know, and, figuring out, where our inefficiencies are, and just constantly learning what ingredients we like, what yeast we like. Right now we're using probably 7 to 8 different types of yeast. And we're just kind of trying to figure out what exactly we want to keep in house. We're trying to get down to like 2 or 3 different yeasts, which helps with consistency and quality, and just getting, raw ingredients dialed in is a big learning experience as well. So, but yeah, it's a never ending process.
So you respond to the ad in, I think, December, you said?
Yep. I talked to Bobby and Brian like late December and kind of told them my story, and they reached out right away, and we had a great conversation our first time, and it was great to have the connection. They both went to Clemson, and it was great to have the connection with what I've been wanting to do here for the past 8 years, and what they've been wanting to do for about the same time. So it was really cool to have that, and to have like a like-minded goal, and what we wanted to see. So yeah, I talked to them in December, and we kind of finalized me coming on late January, and this place was still getting built out. We're in a brand new build out here in Patrick Square, and I think it was about an 8-month process, but for what has been built here is pretty amazing. Hogan Contractors are the guys who built this place, and they did a great job. And I came on in March. We had our fermenters by the end of March, and then we were waiting on our brew house, which was supposed to be routed to Charleston, and got rerouted to LA unbeknownst to anybody who was aware of it.
You said brew house?
Yeah, so that's our hot side. So you have the hot side of brewing, and then the cold side of brewing. So your brew house is your mash tun, your kettle, your hot liquor tank, your cold liquor tank. So that's where we actually make that wort, which is basically unfermented beer. And then your fermenters are your cold side. So the brew house is pretty important, and we had no idea where it was for about 2.5 months. It was rerouted to LA because of the Suez Canal catastrophe. So we finally found out where it was. It ended up being about 3 months late, so that put us behind on brewing. We were hoping to be open by the end of May, and that didn't happen. But we finally got it here, and it was hell on wheels, just getting that thing installed, making sure it was done right, getting it cleaned and passivated and ready to brew. And we came in. We have 4 10-barrel fermenters. We're on a 10-barrel system. So we measure volume in brewing by barrels, which is 31 gallons. So it's basically 2 full-size kegs. Your standard half barrel keg's 15.5 gallons. So we're brewing about 18 to 20 kegs per batch. It's about 310, 320 gallons. We busted out 4 brews in 4 days, let those ferment out, which took about 2 weeks, and then busted out 4 more. And we're finally getting in their groove where we're, not having to push things as much, which is great. And, we're 1 beer away from filling 16 taps. So once that happens, we can kind of catch our breath a little bit.
So when you're installing all these tanks and stuff, is it you 3 guys who are doing that, or the people who you?
Yeah, it was us. It was us.
Wow.
So it was. It comes fairly pre-assembled. I mean, you've got solid tanks, but all the piping, had to be taken apart and cleaned, and we've probably got 40 different valves on the brew house alone, all hard pipe to different pumps, and it was definitely a puzzle piece. And they're 1,500-pound tanks, and they have to be within a micromillimeter of each other to fit.
Wow.
So it was quite a process, but an awesome learning experience too. It was the first brew house I put together.
So you were in Asheville for a long time, Wilmington for a while. Obviously, you're out west, as you said. Asheville is super crunchy and cosmopolitan. Athens down the road, very similar.
Yeah.
And you got Clemson, which I'm not knocking it. I mean, I've lived here for 17 years. We love the place.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot different.
A lot different. Oh, yeah.
A lot more, I don't know, just not as many cool ideas, I guess.
Right.
I think that's safe to say.
And it's so focused around, the university and sports. It's like it has so much already. But we felt that, it needed something with a little originality and like just different, and the fact that, it's, I don't know, is 25,000, 30,000 people here without students.
I think it's more like 16.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With no students.
Yeah, with students, we may be getting close to 35 or 40. Without a brewery, you go to, like, growing up, it was like, I was in Rock Hill below Charlotte, and, our kind of home brewery was Pisgah up in Black Mountain, and that was 2 hours away, and I think Rock Hill has like 7 now. So it was kind of crazy that nobody was able to pull the trigger on it, and luckily these guys made it happen. So it's super cool to be the first ones in, and hopefully we can represent well, and it's just a really cool opportunity.
I know that, I guess you said you opened July 4th.
July 4th,
weekend, and I know the times I've been here, including playing music, it was packed out. I'm curious.
Y'all killed it that one day.
I'm curious, your expectations, your 3 guys' expectations going in of, all right, what's the best case scenario of the immediate sort of turnout and attraction, and that compared to what has actually unfolded over the last less than a couple months? Yeah,
so we're super fortunate to open when we did, and kind of the middle of summer when it's a little slow here was actually a good thing. It helped us get our feet under ourselves, and get front of house trained up, and figure out what we were doing wrong and what we were doing right. And it's been, the response has been awesome already. So I think going into the football season, we're fairly prepared, and we're just excited to see what happens. And it's here in Patrick Square. It's been it's a great location. I know the guys looked at a few other spots, a couple downtown or closer to downtown, and we just kind of wanted to serve more of the local scene, and we're situated right within a ton of residential and people who have been here for 30, 40 years, and they've supported us amazingly so far.
And there's about to be a massive residential community.
Yeah.
That's like a stone's throw away. I'm going to say like 700 homes eventually, or maybe I'm
hearing
overstating
2,000,
that.
which
2,000
is absolutely insane to think about how much Clemson is growing. It's there's a trail system that's, planned out. They have about 60 acres behind the residential here, and they're going to kind of install a trail system that links up to that development over there too, which will be super cool. Getting some, biking trails in and, kind of, liven this, this area up. And, it's awesome. We're surrounded by, amazing businesses. We got Joe's Pizza, great little Sunnyside breakfast over here. We've got the wine bar across the street. It's a great little, business park for, people to kind of, gather around and, have that Clemson community and, culture.
How do you plan for a football season in that? I mean, obviously, you're going to be busier on Thursdays and Fridays when more people are in town, but then Saturdays are just strange because everybody has, or most people have their game day routines.
Oh yeah, they're downtown
6:30 in the morning, and they're parking spots, and then after, say like a 3:30 game, a lot of people are just kind of done with the day.
Yeah, they're ready to get back to Greenville and Charlotte.
Yeah, so you just kind of like you're going to take it as it comes on game days. You're not really certain how to plan for that.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting because we have no idea how to forecast it, and I think Fridays will be huge. Sundays should be pretty big too. We are putting in a projector in our tap room for game days, so anybody who's not going downtown and needs a place to come hang out, we'll have music, and obviously beer and food. If you're not going downtown in the chaos and doing it that way, then we got something over here too. So
is it so the notion of TVs, like obviously that's kind of like some beer quote unquote purists are like, no TVs, none of that stuff. It's almost impossible to do that in Clemson,
is.
South Carolina.
That's kind of the model we're going after. We don't want to be a sports bar. We want to be just focused on more of just, I guess, communion and, enjoying, your buddies or, your better half and, just having a beer and talking instead of watching TV. So that's kind of our focus, except on Saturdays.
Yeah. So what is your week? What does your week look like in the part where you're actually building out a new brewery, and then I guess also in the first month or so when you're feeling your way around, and then what is your anticipated sort of the normal week like for you when things are up and running smoothly?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah. So we're out of the hole now. To start was, it was chaos there for a little while, but we've climbed out of the hole. We've gotten our feet under us, and now it's, once taps are filled, we are basically keeping up with what we're selling out of house. So typically my week is, I'll have a week or 2 weeks planned in ahead of time, and I'm monitoring fermentation to figure out when beers are going to finish, and kind of managing a brew schedule is new to me too, and has been a challenge because fermentation is not always on your time.
Mm-hmm.
It is never on your time. So trying to figure out schedule and keeping up with beers. We have, I think, 4 flagships on right now that we'll have on all year. So trying to line up schedule when one of those is done and having the next one on deck ready has been, we're kind of getting into that now because those first few batches are finishing up. Our West Coast IPA was the first one to finish last week, and yeah, we got the next one right in time. So, yeah, that's kind of the challenge right now. And, but we're down to about usually one brew day a week, kind of alternating 1 and 2 brew days a week. Brew days typically about 10 hours. So, yeah, once we're prepared and full, yeah, we'll be about down to 1 brew day a week, which will be huge. I got one of our guys in the kitchen is helping me in the back. He's been awesome. He's super into it, and so it's cool to be training somebody and having an assistant, and yeah, so we're getting there.
When you say y'all are out of the hole now, and at some points it was chaos before, what does that look like and feel like to a brewer? How do you define that?
Fairly uncomfortable. Just the amount of detail that goes into a brew day, and just writing a recipe is pretty extensive, and can be stressful. And, when you're trying to throw 4 of those in a row, and, hoping for the best product you can possibly put out to the public, it was chaos. But with our brew house being that late, we had to do what we had to do. And, we're super happy with what we got out of the gate. And, I'm just excited to keep improving. And, but yeah, it's, finally getting into a really good spot. So.
Is there a gap between what the typical brewer thinks is really good and what the general public is receptive to?
Yeah, I would say most people like my beer more than I do, because I'm really hard on myself. But yeah, I mean, it's our job. I nitpick. I remember our professor, the first day of class back in brewing school, he was like, if you really like beer and you don't want to be judgmental, you should probably just, not do this. Cause it is it's part of your life now. And, I'm critiquing everything I do. It's hard not to critique other breweries. But also on the other side of the coin is just that much more appreciation when quality is there, is super cool. And I'm the least pretentious beer snob you could probably meet, but yeah, it's cool to it's kind of cool to pick apart quality, and whether it's great or good or not so good, and because you learn from those things.
Let's talk football.
Let's do that.
What's your take on this season? You're on TI all the time, you said.
Yeah, I've been a TI member for probably 12 years now, since my freshman year up here, and yeah, it's been, what a ride, man. But it's such an amazing place where we're at right now, and I think this year is, it's looking as good as ever. I ran into DJ downtown a couple weeks ago, and he's an absolute monster.
Could pass for an offensive tackle.
He just looks like Cam Newton. It's insane. But and freaking slings it, man. So yeah, just our D is looking amazing. I can't wait to see Brian Brzez's a beast. I can't wait to see him out there and getting some sacks. But yeah, it's coming, out of the gate with Georgia's big, man. Yeah. So yeah, if we can get that one under our belts, we're sitting pretty, it looks like, for the rest of the season. You know how it is in the ACC, but I love the kind of mentality we have and what Dabo's brought, and every game's the first game type deal, and so yeah, I'm super confident, man. If we end up, taking an L to Georgia, I think we'll be fine. We went out and get the ACC championship and hopefully be back in there. But, I don't expect to lose to those guys. So.
Mike Fuller, welcome back to the community, man. And,
Thank you, man.
Thanks for adding something to this community. We really, I think I speak for a lot of people. We really appreciate it,
awesome, man.
Thank you. The beer's fantastic. So
thank you, man.
If you're in the Eastern Midlands and PD area and you're in any way interested in buying and selling a home, commercial property, land, need to consider reaching out to Uptown Realty. They're based out of Sumter and run by a friend of mine, Patrick Enzer, big Clemson guy, used to cover the Tigers in a newspaper capacity, longtime supporter of Tiger Illustrated, longtime listener to the Dubcast. The home buying process should be an enjoyable experience, so let Patrick and his staff do all the heavy lifting. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call 803-774-0435 or go to uptownrealtysc.com. When you're ready for a complete renovation in your home or business, open the door to more with Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Their local experienced team will totally transform any room space, from beautiful floor coverings to construction to finished details. Harris handles every step of your renovation process, whether it's a kitchen or living room or an industrial or educational setting, like some of the positively stunning work they've done at Clemson University. Go to discoverharris.com and experience a total renovation transformation from Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Another loyal supporter of the Dubcast is Blackacre Law Firm in Greenville, a subsidiary of Parham Smith & Archenhold. Blackacre helps South Carolina residents achieve their dreams of home ownership by providing experienced professional representation for real estate closings. Attention to detail is crucial in real estate law. Blackacre is committed to making sure nothing gets by them preparing residential or commercial closings. Blackacre also offers estate planning services for their clients in the Greenville area. Find out more about Blackacre at 864-326-3507. Want to share a quick word about Founders Federal Credit Union. If you've been to a sporting event in Clemson, you've probably heard about Founders already. They are the official credit union partner of the Clemson Tigers. In addition to that, all Clemson faculty, staff, and students are eligible for membership as well as IPTE members. Matt Gross is a proud Clemson alum and the vice president for the Clemson market for Founders Federal Credit Union. Matt's office is located beside the Walmart Neighborhood Market on Old Greenville Highway in Clemson. For more information, go to foundersfcu.com. All right, joined by Bobby Congdon. Did I get that right?
That's right.
One of the co-owners of Kite Hill Brewing Company. First of all, magnificent place. I think I speak for a lot of folks. What I am really interested in talking to you about is you work at Clemson.
Correct.
And you are doing this, which I cannot wrap my mind around. It doesn't seem like there are enough hours in a day or a week or a month. Explain.
There are not enough hours. I should say, maybe I'm doing research at Clemson to add more hours to the day or something like that. I'm making it work right now, burning through a lot of annual leave right now, and have a forgiving boss that likes beer, but that helps. I'm trying to make it work. It is nice that I can do some of my work remote, from the brewery. So instead of work from home, I'm work from brewery sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, and then with a family as well. Two kids and a wife that somehow want to see me every now and then. It's getting along though.
What do you do at Clemson?
So I'm the assistant director at the Sonoco Institute of Packaging Design and Graphics.
So that's a real job. You're not like a I don't know, assistant lecturer or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those are real jobs too.
But they are. Nothing against those guys.
Yeah, no, this is it's a full big job with responsibilities and staff, and luckily I have a great staff that can help out when I'm not there, and I'm accessible, so that helps as well.
So what gave you the idea going in that I can pull that off?
Well, I think originally the idea was I would just do the brewery full time, but then the kind of the economics of it, Clemson with benefits is it's a nice gig.
Yeah.
I like what I do over there as well, so maybe down the road we'll reevaluate, see. But for now, it's working out.
When was this idea hatched by you and your co-owner Brian?
So I started homebrewing back in 2005. Actually, right down the road from here. The apartment's just down from where the brewery is now. Inside your apartment. What's that?
Inside your apartment?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Some in there, and then some with a coworker who lived over in Pendleton. Just little 5-gallon batches. So we started doing that in 2005. So I think probably by the third batch we started talking as we were drinking and brewing about it'd be cool to open a brewery in Clemson. So that persisted for years and years, and common sense said, don't do that. That's insane. But then I was actually looking at this email today. It was about 4 years ago this fall. I sent an email to Brian, the co-owner. I'd been drinking beer that night, and I got the idea we should actually do this. Because he and I had talked about it before then as well. And then with his background in chemical engineering and his MBA, it was kind of a nice fit. So I had the brewing experience and some creative experience in the past, and then his more business and process orientation. It was kind of a nice fit.
And then when was it actually hatched? Like, we're going to do this. Well, as far as the date, or
it was shortly after that drunken email. To be honest, we sent that email, and then a few days later we talked. He was living up in Vermont at the time. His wife had a postdoc appointment up there in Burlington. So I think maybe a year later he moved down, and we had already kind of started working on a business plan and started scouting locations. He made a few trips down here. We looked at various areas. We really wanted to be in Clemson. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was super important to us. We didn't want to be in Seneca or Anderson or wherever. We wanted to be in Clemson address and everything. So we ended up on the third location here. Love it here. So yeah.
What's been the craziest day for you? I guess also incorporating your quote unquote day job at Clemson, and that you can think back to as this was getting off the ground.
There's been a lot of crazy days. We earlier this year we had a lot of those days and weekends we were here putting stuff together, walk-in cooler, glycol lines, stuff like that, trying to do as much as we could ourselves. Those days were pretty insane. And then that month kind of leading up to opening was just a lot of long hours, working my Clemson job during the day and then coming here in the evenings and kind of getting stuff ready to open up.
Mm-hmm. I asked Mike this as well, but you probably had certain, rough expectations going in about the response and reception over the first couple of months of y'all being open. How has that squared with what has actually happened over the last 2 or so months?
I mean, it's been good. I mean, we had kind of set out to build this place that was, we were making good beer in a cool location. Both of those were kind of important to us. I mean, good beer was sort of a given. We had to make that. That's why we hired Mike. But the location was super important to us. We wanted a place where everybody felt welcome. You come out here, bring your kids, sit outside in the grass. So it's, I think we did that, and the response from the community I've heard is, you guys got a really cool space here. People feel comfortable coming, sitting outside, inside, bringing their kids, bringing their families, bringing their pets. So, what
do you envision for football season? I guess football is just kind of a different animal in terms of on Saturdays people are doing their own thing, and what are your expectations for that?
I have no idea what to expect. I guess we'll find out very soon, right? 2 weeks away. I don't know when you're broadcasting this, but we're a couple weeks away from home football games. I expect the Fridays before might be kind of insanity here.
Probably Thursdays and Fridays, I would imagine.
Game day, I don't know. Yeah. I kind of hope people swing by and pick up some beer to go and take their tailgate. But we got a TV we're going to hang on the wall so we can. This is our first football season owning a brewery, so I don't think we'll be going to many games, but we're going to watch them from here. Maybe others will join us.
Well, Bobby, thanks for joining us, man. Great job. It's wonderful to have a place like this just a mile down the road from my house, so awesome. I'm going to be here quite a bit. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, finally joined by Brian Leggett. Brian, thanks for joining us, first of all.
Thanks for having me.
It's going to be hard for you to top Bobby's story of trying to juggle the full-time job he does at Clemson with starting a brewery. What's your story?
So I do business development for a contract manufacturer in Wisconsin, which is about a 50-hour-a-week job. The pandemic made it a little bit easier to get this done because it got really, really busy in the last year. But the short version of the story is just working 90 to 100 hours a week the last few months.
90 to 100?
Yep. 7 days a week. We've been here most nights, all through the weekends, especially leading up to the open. But once the construction got close to being finished, we were in here doing something. We did as much work as we could on our own, put the walk in ourselves, installed all the equipment. So it was a lot of work in a sort of compressed time period.
Is that 90 to 100? Is it pretty much 50-50 between the two? Or
I think so. I think in the few months before open and up till now, it's been pretty evenly. I travel for work, which is starting to happen a little bit more now. So I'm out and away a little bit more. But a lot of the things that I handle, I don't have to be physically present for also.
And you and Bobby both have families?
We do. I have a 9-month-old infant who I wish that I was spending more time with.
And then how many kids does he have?
He's got 2 kids.
Wow. So when was the last day off you had?
My wife's been making me take Sunday afternoons, but I couldn't tell you the last time I had well, that's not true. I took a 2-week vacation to Spain recently, but I did a little bit of work every day. Is
the ultimate, I guess, aspiration to maybe just do this by itself? Or if you don't want to talk, if you don't want to comment.
For me, no. I think for Bobby, yes.
Okay.
I think I've had jobs where I traveled for more than 10 years now, and I feel like I need to do that. And I don't know. I mean, it's great hanging out here and it's fun working here, but I don't think it would be as fulfilling if that was the only thing I was doing. So I think I'll always do a little bit of both. But we've got a great management team here. The staff handles a lot of the heavy lifting. Right now, we're just trying to get everything sort of ironed out where we want it and get a program in place that the team can execute on. And then hopefully Bobby and I just hang out on weekends and drink beer.
Is it surprising at all that Clemson has not had an actual brewery until now?
It is. And if you look at the numbers out there, we're the last major college town to get a brewery. It's a challenging environment to open one, but I'm still surprised that nobody beat us to it.
When you say it's a challenging environment, what do you mean?
For the size of town that it is, the real estate's expensive. There's not a lot of locations that are, the prototypical brewery location, an old industrial space you're trying to repurpose. Patrick Square kept sweetening the deal for us a little bit to get us over here. And after we made that decision, it started to make a whole lot more sense. The year-round residents in Clemson are on this side of town. We're outside of the traffic issues. And I think if we'd gone somewhere else, or if we'd been on 123 somewhere, it would have been a mess.
What is it like? I'm sure the first month or two, an important part is feedback and constructive criticism. I really like this, not so much that. What have you heard? What's that like, sort of that process as you're learning, I guess, as much as anything?
I think a lot of the feedback we've been getting has been overwhelmingly positive. People seem to really love the space. They love the food, which was something we were really worried about. We have had some legitimate critiques of some things that have happened, but they've been outliers. But I think overall, most of our feedback's been positive. Our friends have been really, really great about, breaking down exactly how their visit went and how they perceive things going. But I think that, our team's done a spectacular job. Mike's done an amazing job with the beer. Couldn't be happier with that. And so I think it's been a great experience for people overall. Mostly just trying to find ways to sort of add to what we've already got. To make it, a more complete experience, I guess, and especially as we transition into the crazy time of the year.
As you're transitioning into a time where it's somewhat unpredictable with game days and all that, is there a line between a great crowd, numbers-wise, and being able to serve everybody in a timely way, in an inventory fashion as well, and then too many people in a night? Is that kind of a dumb question, or?
Too many people scenario is kind of the nightmare scenario. So we've got a plan in place where we can, we're going to bring a jockey box in. We're going to have like an area away from the bar where you can also get beer. There'll just be, a couple selections from there. We've got some extra point of sale systems. We're going to bring everybody in these first few football weekends and see how that goes. The nightmare scenario is that we sell beer at a faster rate than we can produce. We've got some contingency plans if something like that happens. It seems unlikely, and we've got, we're adding, a style every week. So we'll have a pretty broad selection when that first rush hits here. And I think it'd be hard to sell out of anything. But there's been a lot of sleepless nights on that, but we want to, I guess the tricky part is trying to maintain the level of service that we want people to experience when there's an order of magnitude jump in the number of people coming through the door.
Obviously, we have some excellent breweries, short drives away in Asheville, Athens. Is there one that you have been to and that you have in mind that's the ideal that I'd like to sort of emulate and borrow from, or maybe I should say, what's your favorite brewery outside
my
of
favorite brewery? That's so everybody that I don't name will get. It's a small community. There's a lot of great new breweries opening. There's a lot of just in the upstate. There's some great stuff. Kiwi's doing an amazing job out there, and they're nearby. We've got another one that's opening in Easley, just a few miles up the road in the next few weeks. And the brewer that's responsible for that makes incredible beer. But the upstate's kind of blessed with that. Everyone looks at Asheville with the number of breweries they have up there, but we've got a great number down here. As far as emulating, there's a tap room in Greenville that I would love for us the community tap. There's a couple locations up there. And when we were in this planning phase and, it's not just about the beer. Sometimes I tell people it's not about the beer, but, our vision to have this community gathering space that was something for everybody. A lot of that, I think, is based off, to some extent, the first time I went to a beer garden in Munich, but also kind of what you're seeing in these neighborhood breweries and tap rooms, where it's just you can go in there and somebody from the neighborhood's there, and there's friendly face behind the bar and something you want to drink.
Clemson, compared to some of those other places like Asheville and Athens, really small, different culturally. Is it a bit of a leap of faith doing something like this, or do you, or is it more of you sense a definite demand, even though there are those factors and that there are a ton of people who still like to go out and drink good beer?
I think there's definitely a demand there. There's a limited number of places where you can sit down and have a great beer, where you can bring the whole family, where parking's not a mess. So I don't think that there's like some critical mass of beer nerds that you need to have a successful brewery, because really it's more than just, the beer nerds. For the most part, a lot of those guys are just going to come in, they're going to get a flight rack, they're going to check in on Untapped, and they're going to move on to the next place. But as far as a place for the more adult community, but also, we're still here for the students that are of age, that can bring their whole family. There's food that everyone can eat. There's something to drink other than beer for people that don't drink beer. I think there was a big need for that, and I think we're doing a good job of filling that. I
would agree. Brian, thank you all for joining us, and really looking forward to having you guys around. Really appreciate your presence here.
Thanks for coming out.
Okay, awesome stuff there. Really interesting and, at least for me, really enlightening too. Learning more about all the things that go into putting a brewery together, putting out a great product. Appreciate them joining us from Kite Hill Brewing Company today. Also appreciate our sponsors, including Jack Oliver's, who's back this season. Really appreciate that. Most of all, appreciate all of you for hitting play every week. Appreciate it. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Cheers.